speaking with a buddy of mine who was trying to tell me that white people get killed by cops just as much. You know what I mean? I don't want to keep harping on the race shit, but it's important that we kind of contextualize what be going on with our people. It's important that we look at the facts about what happens to our people, right? So like I was telling him, and this was just my opinion. I didn't do any research. I just felt as if we got killed more by cops than people outside of our community, right? So let me read you this article that I found that's titled Racial Disparity in Police Shootings Unchanged Over the Past 5 Years. So from 2015 to 2020, this was like a comprehensive study that was done. Let's dig into it, right? So over the past 5 years, there has been no reduction in the racial disparity in fatal police shooting victims, despite increased use of body cameras in closer media scrutiny. Now, this is according to a new report by researchers at Yale and the University of Pennsylvania. Now, using information from a national database compiled and maintained by the Washington Post, researchers found that victims identifying as Black, Indigenous, or people of color, whether armed or unarmed, had significantly higher death rates compared with whites, right? Now, and those numbers remain relatively unchanged from 2015 to 2020. Excuse me. Now, while the data have, the data is definitely publicly available, excuse me, the researchers decided to enter it into the scientific literature and present it using methods that are accepted by science as rigorous and robust. Now, it's critical, said author Darwin Boatwright, assistant professor of emergency medicine at Yale, that fatal police shootings of people of color are recognized and treated as a public health emergency. And that's another reason why I wanted to read this article, because we need to realize, family, in my opinion, one of the biggest reasons why we continue to get killed. Now, of course, like I mentioned before, policing in America is nothing more than slave patrols. The policing in America started by them policing slaves, making sure slaves were in their place. So that's something we definitely have to continue to be aware of. But also, this country hasn't treated it like a public health crisis. And again, it ain't all about race, shit, but at times it is. Because I believe if 16-year-old white girls was getting killed by the police indiscriminately, this whole country would shut down, trying to find out a solution, right? So we need to treat young Black men the same goddamn way. Now, in a analysis of 4,653 fatal shootings for which information about both race and age were available, the researchers found a small but statistically significant decline in white deaths, only about 1%, but that's significant, but no significant changes in the deaths of people of color. Now, and this is within a 5-year period, so follow me. There were 5,367 fatal police shootings during that 5-year period, according to the Post's database. In the case of armed victims, Native Americans, and this was surprising to me, Native Americans were killed by police at a rate 3 times higher than white people. It was 77 of them total killed. Black people were killed at a rate of 2.6 times the rate of white people. It was 1,265 of us killed. And Hispanics were killed at nearly a rate of 1.3 times the rate of white people. 889 of them were killed. Among unarmed victims, Black people were killed at 3 times the rate, 218 of us, and Hispanics 1.45 times the rate. It was 146 total of them. So I'm going to read a little bit more about this because this is pretty interesting to me, family. Now, those killed by police on average are young people. The average age for all victims is like 34 years old. For Black people, the average age is 30. For Hispanics killed, the average age is 33. Native Americans, 31. White people, 38. Now, the report quantified the impact of people of color in terms of years of life lost. This is the part that I want to get to. Then we'll move on to something else. But this is important information, family. Think about it this way. They calculated it by the amount of years lost total for these people, right? Because think about this, and I was talking about this a few weeks ago when the brother Kawan Charles, a young brother, was found dead and after leaving his house with this white family and all this shit, I was thinking to myself, and I was talking about on the show, how this is a 16, 17-year-old brother that's not going to be able to have kids. He's not going to be able to go to his prom. He's not going to be able to travel the world. He's not going to be able to go to college. Like, this is a life cut short. This is an actual person. You see what I'm saying? Like, we need to humanize black people that are getting killed so maybe some of this shit don't happen. Now, a way of measuring premature deaths that gives greater weight to death at a young age. And they found an average of 31,960 years of life lost annually in the United States due to police shootings. Now, if you think about it that way, think about how much time these young people, or think about the fact that these young people won't be able to have families, man. They won't be able to move on with their life. They won't be able to go through life and go through the ebbs and flows of life. That's some fucked up shit that all of us need to be upset about. You feel me? That's why I make sure that we talk about things of this nature, family, because it's an unfairness, but it's important that we continue to talk about it. It's important that we kind of get to a place where we figure out, what is it that we can do as a community to prevent some of this shit from happening, right? Because people like to tell me when we talk about black men getting killed in America, police brutality, the overall condition of black folks in this country, people like to tell me that it's about, fathers not being in the home, or personal responsibility and all this shit. And that's a separate argument to me. Like, yes, we need more fathers. Yes, in our community, we need to be more accountable about shit, but we need to realize, like, the cause of a lot of these problems. Like, why aren't there more fathers in the home? Are we just gonna say that it's because black men are shiftless, black men don't want to be there? No, the Jim Crow laws, civil rights struggle, all these things, this shit is 50 to 60 years ago. This isn't a long time, family. In my opinion, the residual effect of all of these things still plague our community today. Now, that doesn't mean you find out this information and in your mind, this is an excuse not to be successful, or this is an excuse not to thrive in this society. That's not why I talk about these stories. We talk about these stories so you can be aware and then figure out ways to maneuver around these things, right? Like, we are a strong people. We are a resilient people, and we can get through a lot of this shit. We just got to be smart about it, right? So I don't talk to you about police brutality or racism or systematic racism. I don't talk to you about any of these things so you can feel down on yourself and think, okay, I can't be successful in this country, or I can't do the things I feel necessary to benefit my family in the correct way, because that's not true. You can, but you need to be aware of how your people is treated. You need to first be aware of how your people is treated in this country. Then, in my opinion, figure out a way to take action. Like I say every week, whether that's starting a nonprofit organization, whether that's volunteering, whether that's feeding people in the community, whether if you're a brother, whether that's being a mentor to young dudes in your hood or young dudes in your environment that may not have it together or may not have male influences. So when it comes to fixing the problems of this country, we need all hands on deck. I need more of my brothers to care, right? I need more of my brothers to give a fuck about what's going on with your other brothers. I don't want the police to have to kill you, or for you to go through some systematic shit for then you to say, yeah, I want to help out. Nah, we need to start helping out now. You feel me? So it's unfair how we're treated by the police. I just want to point out to anybody, even some black people outside of our community who think we're treated fairly, we're not treated fairly. Sometimes you got to go to statistics. Sometimes you got to go to the white folks statistics to show people that it is a disparity in how we're treated, and something needs to be done about it, right? So as a community, what can we do? In my opinion, I would like for us to use some of these instances as a motivating factor. Like, all right, y'all gonna treat us like that? I'm gonna start a business. I'm gonna be a family man. I'm gonna make sure I keep my family together. I'm gonna make sure I teach my kids about history, right? So we can use some of these negative interactions as motivation to be the best that we can be, family.